Okay, we are live. He asks hesitantly. You guys want to talk for me?
Do people hear us?
They
I
should.
think people can hear us. They should hear us.
Is that
Should be able to.
a new The Watcher behind you, Alan, or has that been there all along and I just noticed it?
That's been there all along. Of
Ah,
course, now
so you-
That's the way they should be.
Yeah, that's why I bought those Build-A-Figures just so I could have the Watcher behind me every podcast.
Wait, was he
He's-
like, included in other action figures?
Yeah. So when the season 1 of What If came out, it was Captain Carter, Star-Lord
Aw.
T'Challa, Doctor Strange Supreme, Nebula, but with the blonde hair.
Oh, right.
Zombie Slayer, Peter Parker, Spider-Man,
Okay.
and I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, and Sylvie from Loki. Like she just got thrown
okay.
into the mix too. They were
Yeah.
the Build-A-Figures for the Watcher. I'm surprised you're just now noticing that. I've had him behind me for 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
Nope, just caught it. Literally just caught
That
it.
fits. I mean, but that fits for the character, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not
I mean,
supposed to notice until it's way too late.
Yeah, he hasn't been there in that exact spot the whole time, but he's been in mostly every other show that we do.
All right, everyone listening, go back and watch all of our other shows and verify for me. 'Cause
Yes,
I don't
please.
believe Alan.
Why don't you do it?
What? Why don't I do it? Go back and watch all our
yeah.
shows.
Just look
All
at
right,
my
I
look at
will.
my shots. I guarantee
That's okay.
he's in 1 out of every 5 shows that you watch at least. At
Feels
least.
like some kind of like conspiracy theory compilation video needs to happen.
No. Yeah, it does.
Maybe this is how I spend my weekend.
Please do, because I won't have the
You've-
energy.
You're ruining me, Alan.
Yes. Welcome to the club. I'll be doing other video projects this weekend, so
Ooh,
I think we should get into it.
let's do it.
Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
and welcome to the episode that will curl your toes. We're talking about Best Picture nominee for the Oscars this year, The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti. This is Devon's pick, but before we get into that, we usually start off with things that we watched in pop culture, which we will do. But I want to talk about some breaking news, guys. Did you guys see the breaking news about Disney?
I heard a breaking news about Disney and went, huh? So you got to tell me if it's what I think it is.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything.
What do you think it is, Devon? Because I'm curious.
Is it? Are they doing a sequel to Moana?
That okay, so there were 3 Disney stories that we're going to talk about. Moana 2 comes out in November, evidently.
Who wanted this? asking for
Dwayne
this?
Johnson.
Yeah, all right.
The first,
That checks
I
out.
mean, but the first one was really, really good. Like that's a
I love
movie
the
I'll
first
put
one.
on for like background
Yeah.
noise sometimes. So
No.
I can see it.
Like Black Adam opened in theaters and Dwayne Johnson went to Bob Iger's like, "Hey, can we do another one of those? I need some cash." Like so that's one of the Disney stories that broke.
Right.
Ryan, do you want to take a guess at one of the other ones?
I'm just gonna throw something random at the wall. Is it a video game thing?
Yes, it is, actually. That is one of them.
What?
You serious?
Yes.
What is it?
Disney buys $1.5 billion stake in Epic Games to create expansive universe within
No.
Fortnite.
What?
Yeah. So they're like
Oh,
the way
no.
with the way Fortnite's going with the different hubs that they have now with the Battle Royale and the music stuff and the racing. Disney's doing their own thing in there now too. So you'll be able to play the racing as like Lightning McQueen, things like that. So yeah, that's
I have people to text.
yeah. Devon.
so-
I already know.
So, I did see something earlier today, and I'm going to send it to you guys, but I'm only going to be really excited about this if they do their own fighting game, Mortal Kombat style, of Disney characters, specifically the princesses.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to put the princess skins into Fortnite, but they already have, like, this makes sense to me. They already have all the Marvel skins. They already have all the Star Wars stuff.
Okay, that's fair.
And, like, Epic Games is more than just Fortnite. It's also Unreal Engine, which is what's been doing the volume and the backgrounds for The Mandalorian and all that stuff that they're filming with that. So it makes sense that they would invest in Epic Games this much because they're already using the technology for all this other stuff outside of Fortnite. Fortnite's just a little bit of extra cash.
Yeah, all right. Who do you guys want to see? What Disney character you guys want to see most with a gun? And why is it Winnie the Pooh?
No.
Oh, bother.
No. I want it to be, and I don't know how to pronounce her name because I always feel like I'm saying elephant. But the wit,
Maleficent?
the evil Maleficent. There we go.
Yeah.
I want to see her with the gun.
No, Ryan froze. Did you both freeze?
No, that doesn't really. So her with the gun is funny.
Okay. So the other Disney related news, which ties back, which bear with me, I've got a theory, guys.
Oh no.
Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, Taylor's version is coming to Disney Plus on March 15th.
Oh, what does this mean? Is this like her side of it?
No, it's the concert film coming to
Oh.
Disney Plus. I'm pretty sure it's just the extended cut. They're calling
Okay.
it Taylor's version now because maybe they rearranged some songs. But I don't know if you guys watched the Grammys this weekend, but there was some Taylor Swift news out of that.
I saw that.
Oh,
Dropped
the
an
new album.
She has
Yeah,
a new
that's
album coming
exciting.
out. First track on the new album featuring Post Malone is called Fortnite. Guys, I think Taylor Swift is coming to Fortnite.
What? I mean, she might be. Ariana Grande was in Fortnite.
Ariana Grande was, but like between her special going to Disney Plus, Disney putting all this money into Epic Games, like it just
Right.
makes sense. It
I think
just
you're
makes
right.
sense.
Okay, I have a real question. Are you guys gonna watch the Taylor Swift Eras Tour video? Because like I don't have a lot of like interest in Taylor Swift, but like because of the cultural impact, I feel like I gotta watch it.
Oh, it'll be my pick the week that it comes out.
I sure hope it is.
That's the only way I'll watch it. To
Yep.
be perfectly honest.
God, it's gonna be forever,
And-
or it's gonna go down in flames.
And there's music of hers that I like. Like, there's a decent amount of stuff that I like from her. It's just I'm not like. I would rather musical artists do movies like the Beatles and the Spice Girls did, where they basically play themselves in a like hyped up comedy role. I would rather watch artists do that than like, look at this concert that I filmed.
I
Except
don't
for
know.
like Weird Al. He's the only exception.
I would love a Weird Al concert film. I also would love things more like The Wall, where they take like a concept album and like really blow it up. Have I made you guys watch The Wall yet?
No,
No.
Shoot. All right. Well, we're gonna watch The Wall here.
maybe we just do a movie, a music movie thing where we
Oh, I
do
love that.
like a triple feature. Because we're gonna be burned out on like art house films by the time the Oscars come out the week before.
I'm there,
Yeah,
man.
and I'm blaming Devon for that personally.
Well, hold on. We'll have to talk a little bit more about this because The Holdovers is not an art house film.
Whatever.
Hold on. Maybe my palate got blown way out of whack by the thing I'm going to talk about before Holdovers.
Probably. But yeah, that does it for whatever that segment was. Let's
I
talk
loved it.
about what we watched in pop culture this week. I'm going to start things off. I went to the movies this week and I saw Argylle, the new Matthew Vaughn spy thriller starring Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, and Henry Cavill.
Why the question mark?
Slight spoilers for Argylle. If you go to this movie expecting to see Henry Cavill as a spy for more than 5 minutes of this movie, you're in for disappointment. He's
like
not
his-
in it that much.
It's like all of him in the trailer.
Yeah, pretty much is
Oh.
all of him. Like everything you see in the trailer is everything you get of him in the movie.
Wow.
That being said, I liked it. It's long,
Okay.
way too long, and should have ended 20 minutes before it did. But what do you guys know about Sam Rockwell? Like, when you think Sam Rockwell, what do you think?
3 billboards outside of Epping, Missouri.
Okay. Ryan, how
That's a
about you?
bad
Ryan's
take.
looking
Sorry,
up
guys.
Sam Rockwell.
If you want to know how bad it is, I'm Googling right now.
Yeah. For me, I always think every role that Sam Rockwell is in, he dances.
Yeah.
This film makes the best use of Sam Rockwell's dancing in every movie that he's in. The best sequence of him dancing by far is in this movie.
Wow.
The song choice
I
is
like this guy.
the song choice is questionable, but best use
Okay,
of him
hold on.
dancing.
What part of the Eras tour does the song you're talking about appear?
It's not Taylor Swift. Do you want to know what song it is? Because I'll just tell you.
I do. 100% I do.
Now and Then by the Beatles. The one that just released 2 months ago.
Weird.
Yeah.
Do you know? I wanted to love that more than I did, to the point where you guys had me listen to it, because I think I found out that it was a song live on the podcast.
Probably.
I listened to it. The next day, it was a trivia question for the pub quiz I go to. Completely forgot it even existed again. That's how fast I forgot about that song.
Yeah. It's used a lot in this movie.
Weird choice.
Yeah. I really like this. I really liked a lot of this movie. I think it is too long. Bryce Dallas Howard is fantastic in it. I want to see her in more things. I wrote a whole review for this over at Victims and Villains. So go check that out on their website. I'll put that in the chat.
Oh, nice.
But yeah. And I'll be going get to the movies for Victims again here soon to see Madam Web.
When does that come out?
Next
you're not
week.
excited about that? It's next week already.
If you would have told me like 6 years ago that I would be not be excited for a Spider-Man universe movie, I'd have been like, ha. But then I would have. But now that I've seen Venom and Venom 2 and Morbius, I was like,
Is it in the same universe?
I don't know. I'll report back in 2 weeks and let you know.
I'm so excited to hear.
But yeah, Argyle's fun. If you like the Kingsman movies and Matthew Vaughn's other stuff, this is fun. But don't go in expecting a lot of Henry Cavill, John Cena, or Dua Lipa. So.
Oh, weird. I figured that was mostly the cast.
Looking at the poster, it is like half the people on the poster.
That's so weird.
But yeah. Ryan, you watched 30 Days of Night?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted at the moment. So yes, I did see 30 Days of Night. It came out in like 2007, 2008. I don't know why it's taken me this long to watch it. It's basically a movie about a gang of vicious vampires that descend on like the northernmost town in Alaska that literally has like 60 days of night. It's really 60, but in the movie it's 30. It's good. It's great. I added it to the list, so you guys will be eventually seeing it.
Awesome.
I've been noticing a theme lately of you watching a lot of vampire movies. Is that on purpose?
No, it just happens. Like, I like vampires. Like, I like actual horror vampire stuff. Occasionally I'll watch, like, was it Rumsfeld or whatever? The one with, like,
Yeah. Nicolas Cage.
like with him in it.
Rumsfeld.
But with Nick, what? I missed that.
Donald Rumsfeld, like the Secretary of Defense from the Iraq War.
It's an old name, whatever the name is of the character that's assisting him is
Reinfeld.
the name, and I forget what the name is. So
Reinfeld.
It's Renfield.
But anyway.
It's Renfield.
Renfield, that's it.
Renfield. There we go. I was close.
Yeah.
No, but Rumsfeld is hilarious, and we need to call it that forever.
Whatever. But I mean, it's like I like traditional monsters, and when they're done good and actually scary, I like it.
Totally fair.
Speaking of traditional monsters, Devon, you watched a thing.
Why was this the transition?
Isn't this like a Frankenstein thing?
Yeah, but not okay. That's all right. That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. So this week I watched in my like quest to watch all of the Oscar noms. I watched Poor Things. Uh, all right, guys. So Poor Things is nominated for like 11 Oscars. I just did a quick search of the Oscar poll, and it's like on there 11 times for various things. This is an art house movie, like through and through. This movie also had Romana and I talking afterwards about what makes a good movie. And like why is it like is a movie good? So like Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe, Remy Youssef all give incredible performances. They are so good. There's especially this thing that Emma Stone does where she is like in the body of an adult but has to be a child. And she does it in a really, really believable way to the point where her acting and Mark Ruffalo's acting almost career best, I think. Incredible. I think the world that it's set in is like Wes Anderson on crack, which is also really weird and really cool. I just like I don't think it was just fine like in terms of like what the plot was and where it went and the message it was trying to convey. I think it was just fine. And I don't know that I've ever had a movie before that hit so many or checked so many of my boxes, but me just walk away going, yeah, that was all right.
Is this
You guys
something?
want to watch this?
Is this something you're gonna? This is my next question. Is this something you're going to make us watch for the show? Because I will be watching this before the Oscars. It's playing. It's playing in Harrisburg, and I might go see it here.
Yeah,
soon.
Alan, go see it in theaters. If I don't think I'm going to make you guys watch this, just for heads up. It's a very long movie. I don't know that I love. I mean, I like the point that it's trying to make. Right, it's trying to make a couple of very strong feminist points, and I like that it's making those points. I don't love the way that it makes it, and I'm happy to get into that later. But there's a scene in it specifically that movies do this sometimes where they get you to feel like how the character feels through an unconventional means. A good example of this is there's a movie called Master and Commander. And there's a bit when they're on the ship and it's quite boring. And you as an audience are supposed to feel bored like the crew feels bored. This movie does something very similar with sound. And it gets you to feel exactly the way that Emma Stone feels. But it's probably my like most memorable and least favorite movie experience I've ever had, and it would only replicate in the theater. So like I'll remember this movie. It'll live rent free in my head for some reasons. I don't know that I ever really want to watch this again.
Okay.
I'm so conflicted about this, guys. It like kills me.
I might go see it tonight.
Do it, man. Do it. Like and then like let's text or we'll talk about this next week.
Like I've seen a few things about it, and then so I've looked up a lot more than I probably should have.
Okay.
Since I haven't seen it yet, and to be honest, that's on par for how I already think about it with reading everything I've read about it.
Okay.
To the point of not reading the synopsis, like the actual like what the plot is all the way through. Yeah. I've kind of been getting that feeling of like, yeah, it looks like it looks like and sounds like great performances.
Yeah.
But with the way that it's filmed, it's like, this is going to be kind of a tough one for me to get into.
The beginning was a little rough for me, admittedly, with the film style. It's up for, I think, best cinematography, and I can totally see why, because it's really experimental in what it does. And it's one of those movies that like you'd want a film student to watch a couple of times because the way that it uses the fisheye lens means something. The way that it uses the pinhole lens means something. Whenever it switches from from black and white to color means something. And like, you know, there's a lot of meaning behind a lot of it. And I like that a lot. But again, it's do the ends justify the means? Like yeah, we'll have to talk about it next week, Alan. If you're gonna watch it, like let's get into it.
I'm gonna try to go see it here soon. Maybe not tonight, but soon.
Yeah, I'll stop going. I've never walked out of a movie so conflicted, if I'm being honest. And it's been over it's been the long weekend and half of the week, and I still haven't crystallized my thoughts on it. which is saying something because I'm usually pretty quick to judge things.
There, a lot of the director has a few movies that are like that. Yorgos Lanthimos, he has a movie called The Lobster. Have you guys seen that?
No, I've been looking up his other stuff.
This is the summary of it. This has been on my list for a while to watch because I'm intrigued by this concept. In a dystopian future, according to the laws of the city, single people are taken to the hotel where they are obliged to find a romantic partner for 45 days, or they are transformed into beasts and sent off into the woods.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
So I think Colin Farrell turns into a lobster.
The fact that that's what that movie is, and it has a 7.1 on Instagram with a Metacritic score of 82, makes me very intrigued.
Yeah,
that's really fun.
Maybe you should make us watch that, Devon.
I might make you watch that. I might have to watch it first and then make you guys watch that.
Yeah. So Devon, how many best I think you're ahead of me on best pictures now.
Am I?
No, we're tied. Because you haven't seen my pick for next week. I've seen 4 out of the 10.
I think I've seen 4 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I think I'm there.
So we're going to talk about this week's pick, The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti. Devon, this is your pick. I'm going to let you take it away.
Yeah, man. So, this is my pick for the week. I do love when I get to curtail the thing I'm doing in my personal life with the thing that I'm also doing in the podcast. So I want to watch all of the Oscar nominations. So I picked The Holdovers as the one. Because also, of the ones that I have yet to see, this one seemed like the most like you guys would click with, just in terms of what it is, how it was filmed, the style it's going for, the type of movie that it is. To give you a quick overview, so this is directed by Alexander Payne, which, guys, I have like all of the fun facts for this. Alexander Payne has directed things like Sideways, The Descendants, Paris, I Love You, About Schmidt. So like I've seen and heard of him. It's written by someone though named David Hemingston, who my favorite fact about him is that David Hemingston did the series The Adventures of Pete and Pete, which I thought was like a really funny tidbit. Don't worry about anything else. He also did he did that Angela Anaconda series that was really unsettling when we were kids.
Wait, did he create Pete and Pete?
He's a written by credit on 2 episodes.
On 2, okay. So he's worked on a lot of television because I was looking at his resume. He wrote for How I Met Your Mother,
Kitchen Confidential,
Pepper Ann.
Yeah, I used to love Pepper Ann, American Dad. He did the Uncle Buck revival TV show.
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't. No, we certainly don't. Anyway,
I just you know something's great when you look at it on IMDb and it says Uncle Buck TV series from 2016 to 2016.
I mean, look, you can't beat John Candy in that stuff. You just can't. Like
no.
It was a really hard. Well, anyway, The Holdovers. Back to The Holdovers. So I had made you guys watch this. Before we dig into specifics about this movie, I want to my assumption is that neither of you have seen this movie before I made you watch that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it kept popping up for me on Peacock, and I was like, I'm gonna watch that for the Oscars. Even before he got the nominations, I saw Paul Giamatti win at the Golden Globes. Like, I should watch that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so then with that in mind, that you guys haven't seen this before, what did you think?
Ryan, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I saw the previews for it, and it was something that I was already interested in. I just hadn't gotten around to seeing it yet. And I ended up liking this movie a lot more than I thought originally I was going to.
Good.
So, and a lot goes into that style choice, the acting, the actual, like, what the story is about. But I'm sure we'll get into all of that to talk more about it.
Oh, yeah. Alan, what'd you think?
I hated it. No, I'm kidding.
What?
No, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And it's weird for me because I relate to a lot of what's in this movie.
I bet you do.
Because the setting is very familiar to me in some ways. So, no, I really enjoy this. I think Paul Giamatti gives a great performance. Um, yeah, I've got more to say, but I'm gonna let you ask questions. I liked
Yeah,
it
man.
a lot.
Good. Perfect. So first thing that struck me about this movie is the style of the movie. Literally from the title cards and then all the way to the way that it's filmed, the style of the transitions, the scene composition, everything about this movie literally screams 70s to the point where my internet stopped buffering correctly, so the picture got a little bit fuzzy and it just looked like a movie from the 70s.
You know,
So I was really excited about that.
I had internet issues watching this too, but it just made the movie stop. So
Oh, that's the worst version of it. But how did you guys like that? Was that because this movie is also up for best cinematography, and I'm gonna be honest, I think I want it to win because I think, at least in my opinion, it captures that 70s style almost perfect.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies from the 70s is Harold and Maude. And the way that that movie and this movie are similar is in it's mainly character driven.
Hmm.
It's more of a character driven narrative. And literally the only thing that cements the Holdovers in modern time is the fact that it was like filmed in HD. Other than that, if this
Yeah.
thing was filmed on like 35 millimeter, you could have shown it to someone and just gaslit them into saying like, don't you remember this? It came out in 1968.
Yeah,
I mean, not
exactly.
68, 1972. You don't remember this film? It was huge when it came out in 1972.
Hmm.
Like, everything from the opening to them using, it's like either, like Universal using their, like 1970s, late 60s, like, intro, and whatever that other film studio. I don't know if. Oh, Miramax, but there was another one, like Freeform or Free Film or something. Like, I don't know if they existed back then or not, but that was a pretty good, depiction of, like, an old version of their thing.
Yeah.
But, like, from there on, like, it was all camera angles and shots that I remember seeing in movies my dad used to watch when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the best, like, the story and plot. There's a lot of good stuff about this movie, and that's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that too. Alan, did you have the same thing with the cinematography?
I did, to the point where like I really enjoyed that it looks like it's from the 70s, but they shot it on digital. Like it's not actually shot on film. It was shot with an Arri Alexa Mini, using Panavision H series and Primo zoom lenses.
I heard they did some test shots in 55 millimeter because in pre-production they were like, do we just want to go full 70s and do this in 55 millimeter? But I think I really like the decision that they went to go digital with it.
Yeah,
because it modernizes it.
And like the biggest thing that jumped out at me for like the 70s style with just the look of the film wasn't exactly the image of the film itself, but like the graphics when they have the credits up and just that little bit of a jiggle that you got. Like, like that's what sold it for me. So.
Now, you know more about this than I do. Why did they have that little jiggle? Was it because it was like a physical thing that they were like just pointing a camera at, and like moving?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was just having it stay on the film, and as the film's going through, you'd get a little bit of movement from it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I can't back that up.
Listen, man, I like that effect. They do that in the beginning of Lord of the Rings too, and it gets me every time.
I mean, I went to film school, but I never worked with actual film.
Oh wow!
I work at a film school, and we just had the students using film last week, which was really exciting to see. So I got to see them play with the film cameras, and their footage is sent off, so we get to see what it looks like in a few weeks.
That's so cool. I would feel so much pressure if I was working with real film like that, I think. So, I think the other thing that stood out for this movie right away, was Paul Giamatti's character. And just him, I mean, the opening scene is of him grading papers, just going like, what was he doing? Like troglodyte, ingrate, like just like swearing, Philistine, like yelling at these kids' papers. somebody here was also grading papers today. Alan, did that seem super hit home for you?
No, not really.
No?
No,
Okay.
because like I the way I'm teaching my class is I'm going to give them assignments that I want to grade. Like I want to see, make me this thing. I want to see what you can do.
Yeah.
And that's what the assignment for this week was. It was like a photo essay. So it's like I don't want to sit there and read essays. I want to do it. Let's do a photo essay. Go take some photos. Tell me about them. Caption the photos. Let's talk about it that way. So I was looking at those. It's just a lot.
I bet there.
And like I have my other job duties that I'm doing too. So it's like I get into it and then I get pulled away to do something else. It's just it's a lot. That opening scene with him though, like with the Christmas setting and the Christmas music, it just made me think Ebenezer Scrooge.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
really,
catch
I am really surprised to hear that from you, Devon, because that was one of the first things that I thought, especially when he
Really?
got handed the cookies. I was like, this is like a modern day Grinch movie. Like, like that's what I was expecting. Like, okay, it's Christmas. He's a bit of a grouch. And I'm like, okay, so he's rough around the edges. And I was assuming by the end of the movie, he's going to, not be a grouch anymore. Like, that's what I was kind of assuming. I did not think that the movie was going to do what it did, which I was happy
Yes.
to eventually see. But yeah, no, like I was right without, like I was with Alan there thinking the Grinch because of how he was acting and the fact that it's Christmas.
You keep saying the Grinch.
Grinch,
You mean
whatever.
Scrooge, okay.
This is not my week. This is not my week.
Listen,
Although-
they're all based on the Christmas curmudgeon. That's all the same.
I mean, Paul. When I think Paul Giamatti, I still think Big Fat Liar. So full of a different color, like blue, green. Like it's close enough.
I was wondering, what do you guys think of when you see Paul Giamatti like this? Because I couldn't unsee Rhino. Seems like the wrong thing.
I was talking about that today to a student who I mentioned that we were doing this on the show. And I was like, yeah, I forgot. Like I was watching it and like for a second I was like, oh yeah, he was a Spider-Man villain for 2 seconds. And
Yeah, he was.
no, honestly what I think of Planet of the Apes, like not the good one.
Is he the Wahlberg one?
He's in the Wahlberg one. He's one of the apes.
Oh,
He's like the librarian ape who like is kidnapped by Mark Wahlberg.
that's very funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you think of him do you think of anything when you think of him at all, or is this kind of like
Not
the first big
really.
thing you've seen him in?
No. I've seen him a lot, and I know him. When I see him, like, oh yeah, I know him. I've seen him in other stuff. I don't know what the other stuff is, but I've seen him in other stuff. Like, he's one of those people for me. And like, I'm looking up stuff that he's acted in, and it's a bunch of stuff that I really wouldn't consider to be like any of my like top, movies that I remember liking or rewatching or anything. It's all stuff that I've watched maybe once or twice and went, oh, that was okay, and then moved on.
Okay.
And
I mean,
it's
I can
not
see
his
that.
fault.
No.
Like, it's not his fault that any of that stuff is. It's just he's in a lot of stuff.
I mean, he's a character actor. That's what he's known for. He doesn't have the big franchises. He has a few TV shows like Billions, but he's a character actor. He's in all these different kinds of roles. The other thing I think of is Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon. I don't know.
He
that one.
play. It's the Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman movie. He plays
Right.
his manager.
Oh, got it. Okay. So
was
then,
like,
with that in
I'm-
mind, like you guys know that he's a character actor. Did he pull it off? Like leading this movie? Do you think that he deserves the Best Man nomination for this, or Best Actor
Well,
nomination?
Best man.
I was left halfway through this movie, like, he wears a prosthetic in this, if I'm right. Like, that's a prosthetic that he's wearing.
For his eye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to be sure. The reason why I'm asking is because he acted well enough with that prosthetic that throughout the movie I was going, has this guy had a lazy eye and I've never noticed it before? And at that point, that's when I knew that I'm like, this guy's giving a great performance.
Yeah. Do you want to know the
Because
craziest
he's-
part about that?
What?
Yes.
The eye moved between scenes.
I
It
didn't
would be
even
his
know.
right eye or
Well,
his
I
left
mean,
eye.
yeah, no. It did. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
right.
Wait, so
And
it
you might
actually
have gone
did.
that part
It actually,
part of it.
they actually did switch
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, it did
Why?
because you were supposed to feel like how the kid did, how Angus did, where he didn't know what eye to look at.
Okay.
You were supposed to feel that way too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Interesting.
notice that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of me was like, is that just a continuity error, or am I just making things up? But no, that's interesting.
Yeah. Did you think he deserves it, Alan?
I'm trying to think who I want to see who all he's up against before I say what I think.
He's up against Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo in Rustin himself, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction.
I need to see the other ones because I feel like Jeffrey Wright's doing a lot of interesting things in American Fiction.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer. I think Paul Giamatti has it over him. But Bradley Cooper put in so much work for Maestro. Like, I don't know. Like, I need to watch that too. So
Yeah.
before I say definitively, before I cast my ballot, I'm going to have to watch those. Which Maestro is almost my pick for next week, but
Oh wow.
I think there are bigger films that you guys need to watch on the list of best pictures before that.
Well,
So-
I'm going to dive right into the deep end and go.
Yeah,
yes.
do it. You're gonna say yes?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
So far it's yes for me too. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of the other movies on here, but like I have to watch myself because I am going to want to talk about Paul Giamatti and his character and the little quirks that he adds to it and the little parts that make this character endearing. Like, I love this character. I love the character. I love how it's portrayed. I love that. Just everything about it. I love him being like curmudgeonly little jerk. I love it when when he shows his soft spot. I love it when I think he's wonderful. I really do. Like, he felt so believable and real to me. But it's not to say that the rest of the cast wasn't either, though. So I mean, that was the movie is largely split between Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa, which I
Yeah.
think this is his first acting role.
It is.
What did you guys think of him?
For a first time out, he had that face where I was like, I know you from something. What do I know you
Yeah.
from? But I didn't know him from anything because he hasn't acted before. I'm prepared to see him in everything. I'm prepared to have him do the Chalamet treatment and just be in everything to the point where we're sick of him. Dune 2 coming out to theaters next month. But no, I enjoyed him. I thought he held his weight for a first time actor in this, for screen role at least. I thought he was fantastic.
Brian, what did you think for first time out?
I think the reason why he looks familiar, and I don't remember his name, but I feel like he could be brothers, with either, and I'm gonna throw an actor and an actress.
Okay.
He looks like he could be related to either the kid from Stranger Things that was also in It. Eleven's
Finn Wolfhard. Okay.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
yeah, I can see
him.
that.
or the girl from that I forget, The Last of Us from HBO.
Bella Ramsey.
Tyler Ramsey.
Yeah, like either one of those two.
Ah.
It looks like he could be like related to either one of them to
Okay.
like a point. And so I think that's why he looked because he looked familiar to me too.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that until now. Like, like where else I would have seen his face.
To me, he looked like John Francis Daly from Freaks and Geeks.
That too.
Oh,
That works
yeah.
too.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This movie only works as well as it does is because of this kid's performance.
Yeah.
He is almost at the same level as, was it Paul?
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, as Paul Giamatti. and like it just scenes of him feeling conflicted, like his acting pays off in the non-verbal moments for him where it's body language and facial expression.
Mm-hmm.
And he nails every single one.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I really think that the three leads of this movie, because we kind of skipped over Divine Joy Randolph and her, like, her in this movie, she's incredible. I mean, every one of these characters is so believable, and they go through this amazing arc. And I think, like, almost no more than her. Like, I love her character's arc in this. Like, and I think, I mean, it has to bring us to the plot because we haven't talked about it yet. And I want to get what you guys thought of it, because in ways, this movie didn't go where I think it was, or where I thought it was going to go. Because Cynical Devon goes, all right, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is what this is. I get it. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
So the rough kind of setup for the movie is that over Christmas break at this private boys' school, it's called Barton, which I know is a fictitious school for this, but in my headcanon, it's the exact same school that years later the Pitch Perfect series takes place in. Because that's also Barton Academy, so you can't tell me I'm wrong. But they stay over. They're essentially the holdovers between Christmas break while everyone else goes to school, because of something that he had done in the past at this school. Paul Giamatti's character, Paul Hunnam, has to also be the one that stays over with the holdover kids. And to their dismay, he makes them study, he makes them do PT, he makes them essentially act like they're still in school. They don't just have a week or two or a couple of weeks of break. That's kind of the setup of the movie. And then from there, you essentially learn a lot about each and every one of the three leads, Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa's characters and what they're going through. And you get a really great view into their lives, and they do a great job of actually changing and progressing as characters as the story goes on.
For me, the way the film sets up the plot with it being a group of students, I was like, because I don't watch trailers for things, I just watch, like, I see reviews, and I just try to stay away from plots as much as possible. I thought that's what the movie was going to be. I thought there's going to be like these kids who are all different and don't get along are going to come together and make him a better teacher for it. And then, like, it gets to the point where the one kid's rich dad shows up on a helicopter and takes them all except for the one. I was like, okay, now I'm even more invested. Like, let's go. Let's see what this is.
Ryan, did it go? Was the setup expected for you? Because I had the same thing as Alan.
Well,
I don't watch trailers.
I mean, sometimes it bugs me that neither of you guys watch trailers. Not this time, though. Not this time. I did watch a trailer for this, and the first part I was like, okay, when are these two going to get their alone time? Because these other kids are always around. Like, a lot of the trailer, or like half the trailer, was just scenes of just him and the teen. Mm-hmm. And there's only like very, very few parts with like everyone else. And I'm like, where are they going to get their like alone time? Because you've got this bully that's taking up the majority of the air in the room whenever, like they're around. So I was waiting for that helicopter to fall out of the sky per se and like take everyone away. But yeah, no, I was waiting for that. But even then, the movie didn't do what I was expecting.
Even after that point?
Even after that point, because I already had this idea in my head of like, okay, this is a Christmas movie. He's a grouch. This kid's kind of, like, he's kind of like, he's not a bully. He's just troubled. So I'm thinking like, okay, these two are going to, like the one's gonna like help the other, and by the end of the movie, it's gonna be a Christmas miracle, and everyone's gonna be, like happy.
Yeah.
And that's not. I was surprised. I'll put it that way.
Well, I want to get into that. So I mean, largely the plot is that, the rest of the kids leave on the helicopter. They leave, those two there, and they all get to spend time with each other, and they weren't expecting to spend so much alone time with each other. They butt up against each other's problems. What about the plot surprised you guys? Because I'm going to be honest, a lot of it did surprise me.
Plot-wise, nothing really surprised me.
No?
No, because this fits into a genre of movie that I haven't seen many of, but it's very Dead Poet Society, where it's the student becomes close to the teacher, and the teacher does the thing to better for the better of the students.
Okay.
So I wasn't really surprised by anything that happened in this movie. The only thing that did surprise me was the injury.
Yeah. I thought that was fun.
What I liked about that scene in particular was it took they're fighting and it's escalating, and there's like this moment, and then it's just pure chaos as they run to the hospital. Like, it was just pure insanity.
Oh yeah, it's a very funny part too, just because the timing of it all, to the point where I almost thought that when he was like screaming in pain, I'm like, oh, he's kidding. Oh, he's not kidding.
Yeah, when they show his
Yeah.
Ugh.
Ryan, did anything surprise you?
Some of it did. Like just to list a couple. The thing with the kid's father.
Yes, that got me.
That surprised me.
Yeah.
The thing with the kid's father, how they treated the era that this movie was in correctly, from the point of view of a bunch of private school kids in the late 60s. And I really liked that. I was not expecting that, and I'm really happy that they did do that. Like, one of my favorite scenes is when they're at the restaurant / bar.
Yeah.
And he walks into a Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
And things go south quick. Because that is probably one of the most realistic scenes in this movie.
Well, and how he, like, this, I mean, they call them this almost throughout the entire movie, this rich, entitled kid.
Yeah.
How he has no idea really how the rest of the world lives and the rest of the world works. So, of course, when he runs into a Vietnam vet who's missing a hand, he goes, "Why don't I be your left hand?" And, like, what a dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess I can see how if you're on the outside looking in, that's an okay and, like, almost cute comment to make.
Not to a Vietnam vet, though. Like, if he read the room. Like,
right. When he didn't.
Yeah.
Well, because he has no context to read the room. And
No.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what... And that's exactly what he was saying to the dean, which I find funny, which was one of his prior students.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying to the dean when the dean was yelling at him because he flunked, like, the son of the biggest donor to the school.
Loved this plot point, by the way. Absolutely.
Like,
if you ever want to make me love you as a character, do this in your movie.
Like, the fact that this, like... what I find funny is that some people, like, some film celebrities, or one or two, gotten in trouble for, like, getting their kids into certain schools. Doing exactly what, that Paul Giamatti's character was like.
I'll name names. Felicity Huffman, Aunt Becky from Full House.
Yeah.
You can name names because you remember them.
Yeah.
I don't remember the names. That's
Lori Loughlin, Felicity Huffman.
Yeah.
Not William H. Macy for some reason, even though he's married to Felicity Huffman. It's very bizarre.
He's all right, man.
Yeah. He's shameless.
But,
Did.
But yeah, so that coupled with uh, the other the like almost third main character in the movie, with like her and her son,
Yeah.
and dealing with all of that, and like showing that like they didn't put a magnifying glass in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't shine a magnifying glass, like put a magnifying glass over it.
Mm-hmm.
All they did was place it into the storyline realistically where it would show up in their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's again one of the many things, one of the many things I like about this movie. I do have I do have the moment that made me laugh the hardest though.
Oh, you gotta tell me.
Okay. They're in Boston.
Uh-huh.
They're in the liquor store. He's telling his story about what happened at Harvard.
Yeah.
He hands the liquor bottle. he buys the liquor, and the shopkeeper goes, "Here you go, killer."
Yeah.
And for a split second, they show the storekeeper's face, and then his face and the kid's face, and they hold on it for like a second and a half, and they're all just kind of like staring at each other, realizing what that sounded like, and then they cut to the next scene. I audibly laughed at that point because of just how like just funny that situation, because it was such a tense scene. Like something just happened that
Mhm.
like really grounded his character, and the kid's calling him out on it, and then he tells the story about why he's so like protective of that part of his life,
Yeah.
not realizing that the shopkeeper heard the entire thing. And it was the perfect thing to say too. Here you go,
It was.
killer. Be like, hey, I heard everything you said.
Yeah. My favorite moment, it didn't make me laugh, but it inspired me to do a bit that I'm not going to do because I forgot to stop at the store. But the whole cherries jubilee thing,
Yeah.
like I just love that whole scene. And I'm watching this like I could go to the store, pick up a thing of cherries, and go
Light
to the
them on
liquor store,
fire.
get some brandy, and do like light it on fire on the show. And I forgot until we went live. It's like, oh, I wanted to do that. But no, like the what kind of fascist hash foundry are you running here? Like that just
Oh,
I absolutely loved all of his insults.
yeah.
Like
they're
I
all
have
perfect.
like base levels, like like the very top layer of like skim on the water knowledge of like any of the stuff they were talking about, but I knew enough to like understand why what he was saying was insults, and it just made it great.
Yeah, like just looking at his IMDb page, like the quotes here. And the Romans bathed naked in freezing timber. Adversity builds character, Mr. Tully. Like there's just
Yeah.
so many great lines.
Oh yeah.
But one of my favorite I actually have written down because I liked it so much. It was when he took Tully to the museum, and they're looking at the pottery, and he shows
Yeah.
them the pot that's got like the pornographic like scene
Mhm.
on it. And then he gives a speech, and then at the end he says, history is not simply a study of the past, it is an explanation of the present.
Yeah.
And it's a really simple statement. Like, I'll be perfectly honest, it's a really simple statement, but like it's a simple heavy statement that carries a lot of fact, and it is something that kind of like when I heard it I was like, yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that I tend to bring up on topics that I'm very passionate about, and that's pretty much what it is. Because like I'll go back and reference this point in time, this point of time, this happened and that happened and that happened, and why do you think we are where we are, and regardless to like society or sports or gaming or film or whatever. Like that's just the it's yeah.
I mean, it was for me one of the cruxes of the movie too. Was the line a little bit before that? Is each generation thinks it invented debauchery and suffering and rebellion, but every man's impulse and appetite from the disgusting to the sublime is on display. Like
Yeah.
right now, particularly right now, feels messed up, right? In this pretty unique way. But also so did the 70s during Vietnam. Like,
Yeah.
in almost the exact same way. And, like, this movie actually comforted me in a weird way, where I was like, no, no, no. To them, the world is just as messed up as it is to me right now. The only difference is I'm going through this, and I wasn't going through that. And,
Yeah.
like, that actually made me feel really good.
Made me feel horrible. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, things have always. That's the one thing to always remember is that, like, new things pop up,
Yeah.
and like new challenges present themselves. But then when you look back in history, regardless of how far back you go, and you see something that's like, oh, so that was the first time this happened. But like, yeah, that was the first time this happened. Imagine how panicked people were when this happened back then.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it'd be like, yeah, no, the stuff that's going on politically here in the U.S. is crazy right now, but it also was around the same time another president was like getting poked at and eventually left office. Like, people were as panicked back then about that as people are now today.
And it's so funny to look back and be like, they were so silly. But, like, it's what we're living through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things... So one of the things that really struck me about the movie, too, that I loved was Paul Giamatti's nervous tick of just listing a fact whenever he was in an uncomfortable social situation. Because I have nervous tics like that all the time. I get really gestury and really big. I get really, like, chirpy and, hello, how's it going? I'm Devon. Tell me all about you.
Yeah.
And that's just a social thing that I lean back on because you can tell I'm out of my depth here, right? I'm not comfortable and I want to make something happen. And I loved watching Paul Giamatti do that in this movie. And it really endeared me to him, where there were like times where I'm like, it's me. That's just me. Like, it's just a different version of me, which I loved.
There were times when I was watching, it's like, that's Devon. No,
especially with the Santa Claus thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one did actually make me think Devon would do that.
Yeah, 100%.
I was completely kidding before, but no, that I remembered that now. Yeah.
Did you guys? So my point to that was, do you guys have a nervous thing that you do in social situations like that? Because I feel like almost everyone does, right? Like, we're all put in awkward situations all the time, and we just have to go through. You shut down?
Like to me, the fact that you say that, like, in an awkward situation, when you feel like you're out of your depth, you like become very animated and very chirpy and very, like, that freaks me out. Like, if I was out of my depth or anything, I'm just like, I don't know anything, so I'm just gonna sit tight and go with the flow and just see what happens. I'm just gonna stand in the back, like, be part of the scenery. I'm not gonna, like, try to get myself involved in anything.
Yeah.
I go on tangents. Like, I'll just start talking. Like, I'll find something related to something and start talking about it. Like if I was nervous about this podcast, like Paul Giamatti was in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which, if you guys have every week I forget.
Take that trash out, man.
Ever since we moved to Wednesdays, every week at 7 on the dot. But yeah, I would just start going off on something that I know a lot about and can, like, relate to the subject, and then afterwards, like, that didn't tie in at all. Why did I do that?
Just like only on, like, the barest of tangents. Like,
yeah.
Spider-Man also wore red. By the way, in Spider-Man,
it's not even that bad. Like, I'll start talking, like, usually it's somewhat related. Like actors or directors, like, talking about, like, style choices and things. Like, it's usually it's things like that. Like, it all makes sense in my head, and I can justify it. Whether or not people agree with that, like, that's a different story. But we haven't. Can we talk about Divine Joy Randolph, please?
We have to. We've been doing her a disservice the whole time.
We have. She was absolutely phenomenal in this. I love her arc so much because it's the most subtle of the three, because her ending, like, so her son dies in war. He didn't get a chance to go to college after he left this school. Um, at the end of the movie, when Mr. Tully is about to possibly be sent off to military school, like that's the climax for her character too, where she just takes his hand and holds it tight. And I thought that was such a beautiful ending to her story in this. Like, I love that so much. And as soon as I recognized Divine Joy Randolph in this, I was so excited to see her, like, in the rest of the movie. Devin, did you recognize her from anything? Because I know you've seen her in something.
She looked familiar. I'm like, I know this person. I'm also frantically searching IMDb.
I can just tell you, because I know what you know her from. Only Murders in the Building.
It is Only Murders in the Building.
She's the detective.
Yep, all right.
Who's always telling them to stop their damn podcast.
Yeah, okay. She's really good in that.
Yeah.
No, but she was incredible in this. And I love the fact that was, like, she reaches out for his hand first.
Yeah.
Like, she is now open for it. It's not that she's receiving that. She's now ready to give that love again.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really like that. Because it was a good I mean, basically from the point where they met Angus's parents in the principal's office to the end of the movie, I was basically just ready to cry the whole time. It's like, you get such great performances. You get such great character moments. Man, I don't know. I loved it.
My favorite moment of hers is towards the beginning when they're doing the mass before they leave. And the priest tells her that, like, we are all grieving with you. And she just does the almost deep breath and, like, the eye roll, the real long, like, real drawn out eye roll. And when that happened, I'm like, I'm gonna like her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like her character. And then, like, her showing the newlywed game to Paul's character is another great scene. And yet, like, if you were to remove anyone from this movie, any one of the three main characters in this movie, it doesn't work. Like, it's not as good. Like, for me anyway, like...
No, I'm the same.
Like,
I completely agree.
Basically 3 pieces of, like, a 3-piece puzzle, and if you remove one, it's not done. Like, yeah, her character to me is just as important as his. Like,
they are very. I'm not disagreeing with you. They are very codependent of each other, but I also think if you took any 2 of these characters together and, like, just remove the third, you'd still have a pretty fascinating movie. Like, if you just focus on her in Boston with her sister and the baby coming, and then you see him outside the dean's office after that trip, and he's like, I might have to go to military school. That beat still works. You don't need to see Paul Giamatti do his thing inside, because you still have that connection between those 2 characters. And same if you just focus on her and Paul Giamatti, like, there's still an arc there for the 2 of them. And I think that's something that you don't get to see too often. I think that's what makes this film work well, is that it's not just 2 characters learning to live their lives together. It's 3 people changing each other's lives and being connected in that way, which you don't get to see too often. Usually it's just focused in on 2, and here you have it as a trio.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last thing I have to bring up about the movie is all the little details that were kind of strewn about that I think tell a much, or at least point to, like, either a much larger story or a much deeper part of the story than what we get. So, like, an example of this, and the one that I think, like, made me, like, affected me the most, was for Christmas, Paul Giamatti's character gives the other 2 main characters, gives them both the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius,
Mhm.
I
And,
put
like,
that book in my shopping cart on Amazon.
yeah,
after
it's
that
in mine
scene.
too. It's played for laughs because he gives it to Angus, and he's like, "This is my Bible. This is my everything. This is really good." And you're like, "Ah, what a quirky guy." And then he gives it to Divine's character, and you're like, "Oh, you did." She's like, "You're just giving this out to anyone." But then when he's packing his office up, you see a box of them,
Yeah.
and the implication, at least for me, was that he was ready to give these out to gifts to a lot of people, but had no one to gift it to until now. Which, like, that hit.
That does hit. I just read it as he just
stocks up.
that's his go-to gift.
I mean, I like that. Either way, it's a good detail. Were there like
Mhm.
was there any little thing like that for you guys that you were like, yeah, that's like a good detail? I mean, if not, this is a very, very specific question.
For me, I'm trying to think.
I have mine if you want me
Yeah,
to give
go
you some
for
time.
it.
Okay, so mine is kind of like it's I forget the word, but like Tully.
Yeah.
They have him help the kid when he has the nightmare and he wets the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that point, Tully just seems like a normal teenager, like any of the other ones. But then he helps that kid, and he's like, "Look, I'll help you hide the sheets in the morning before the other kids see this. Like, just try to find a dry spot. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just go back to bed." And it's one of those things where it's like, this guy seems like a jerk like everyone else, but he's helping this kid in this moment that usually like a kid would get torn apart for by his peers.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, like, looking back on it in that scene after they reveal the whole thing with his dad, it's like, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's dealt with that, he's probably dealt with that type of behavior before, so it's not uncommon. It's like, hey, this person just needs help.
He probably was that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's a good deed. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one, but I can't.
I think another. I mean, I could fill in another one that I just
Sure.
loved was when he got the tree for Christmas.
Oh, yeah,
He's like sitting there, so like floppy on the table, and then like, yeah, he's like, "We'll find ornaments," and then like a cut second later, they like have ornaments on it. Like,
Yeah.
"They found
Yeah,
them."
like 4 and like a half thing of garland wrapped around it.
My favorite part about the Christmas tree was that he just gets it on Christmas Day, and it's like, yeah, they're 75% off. Like, what?
Who's buying them today? The fact that it was open was incredible to me too.
Yeah,
Oh, cool. Well, anything else on this movie, guys?
that's all
This
I've
movie-
got.
One thing,
Mhm.
this movie has. I don't want to say that this kid's career is hurt by this. Not the main one of the other kids.
Okay.
But this is now twice that I've seen a youth actor, and I have like they played their role of a bully too well that I don't know if I could like him in any other role.
Oh no.
And I think I know who you guys are, and I believe I'm looking at IMDb. I believe it's Bradley Hepner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Teddy, the one that has like the sunburn on his face when he gets back from skiing.
Mm-hmm.
Him, he plays the bully and just the complete like entitled jerk too well in this movie. That he goes in a category with the redhead kid from the first season of Stranger Things. That is like, okay, so Alan, remember when we went to the Harrisburg Comic-Con
yeah,
and I got the kid sitting next to him from Stranger Things? That was him.
yeah.
And I asked Kristen, I was like, "Hey, I got the teacher's autograph. Do you want me to get his too, so we get 2 people from the show?" And she literally said, "I hate his character too much. No." And I was like, "Oh, okay." because like I kind of feel the same way about it, but it was one of those things where it was like I still thought it'd be kind of cool to do that, but I'm like it's okay. And I did kind of feel bad for him because he was just sitting there, like no one was in his line. No one.
Yeah.
It's a sign
So
of
I
relaxing.
really
I
hope
love
that this kid can like do something to remove himself from that role, at least for me.
Oh, it's incredible.
I'm sure all the kids in this are going to be cast in Marvel or DC projects here soon.
Oh yeah, they'll get snapped
So-
up 100%.
Yeah.
All right, is that all we got for the holdovers?
That's all I got, man.
All right. Well, we're going to hold over the rest of the conversation until next week.
Damn.
Next week is my pick. And we're going to keep going with the Oscars stuff. So next week, I'm going to make you guys watch Oppenheimer for the first time,
Yes.
which is not available to stream for free yet. So pay up. It's still cheaper than going to see it at the theaters. So, but yeah, Oppenheimer will be next week. I thought about doing Barbenheimer, like doing both, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to have the energy to do both. If I do, I will. But Oppenheimer for next week. I've said Barbenheimer so many.
Sorry. Yeah.
I've said
Sorry.
Barbenheimer so many times, but Oppenheimer for next week. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, until then, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and listen to You Have to Watch This Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts. And then you can also check out all the other Rum Runner Network podcasts at rumrunnerspodcastnetwork.com. Until next time, I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
Now, Devon.
and next week's going to be so good it will curl your toes.
Ryan, your oh good was so perfectly timed.
When did I say oh good?
So Ryan